Welcome to Talking Live. I'm Dr. Robi Ludwig right here in Starshot Studio in Times Square. And if you are having trouble with your dating life, do we have the perfect guest for you? But before we get started, I want to tell you about an amazing program called Balance 3H Plus. It's a scientifically proven weight loss program for those who are 40 and over and they look at your hormones. They now are opening up a clinic in New York City. So check them out. We'll have a link. Meredith Golden is here to join us. She is the founder of Spoon Meet Spoon, and her story is fascinating. Meredith actually has my dream job because I love seeing people happily made up.
Oh, you're so
I
sweet.
really do. I really do. And like me, your background is as a psychotherapist, and you didn't really intend to get involved in this part of the business. Your story is unique.
Yes, I had absolutely no plans to make this into a business. This is just stuff I was doing for friends and saw there was a need in the market. And poof, here I am with the thriving business, which I am thankful for, and I find it shocking.
You do something that's very different than any type of matchmaker out there or anybody in this space. And it's referred to as an app ghostwriter. Is that correct?
Dating app ghostwriter. So sometimes I help people on various levels. Depending if someone needs a new profile or they're not quite sure why they can't convert a convo to a meet, many different areas where people can use some help. What people get most fascinated by is the fact that I do the writing on the apps for the client. So I'll swipe a message as the client for the client. But what people get confused about is I create opportunities, but it's the real person. It's their information, it's how they speak, it's who they are. And really, the other person who they might be like, no, I don't want to go out with him or her. I'm like, come on, I think he looks great, she looks great. They say, no, it's a deal breaker. She's under my height requirement. I'm like, you're being silly. Just go out with them. And I really push them to give someone a chance who they otherwise wouldn't give a chance to.
I think they did a study, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, that people were not very good at assessing who they would be attracted to.
Yep.
So they'd come up with this list: tall, dark, handsome, finance, wealthy, owns a Mercedes. And then they'd see that person in front of them and maybe they wouldn't be attracted to them. Yet somebody who is a total shock really just lit them on fire.
And this is my whole theory. You have to put yourself out there, meet a ton of people. The person who looks perfect on paper, and then you sit down to have a meal with them or a drink, you might be really bored.
Yeah.
And the person who you think is while you're communicating on the apps, or their pictures aren't great, or they don't really seem funny, or you don't like their job, show up and you laugh so much that you can't wait to see them again.
A lot of it,
chemistry.
It's true. And a lot of it has to do with the person's soul, don't you think? Which is sometimes hard to convey via apps or even just through an introduction. You don't always know.
Yeah, you have to give people a chance.
Yeah.
And you're right. Someone could present themselves one way on an app, and that's not who shows up. Or people can think that they're one way, and then they show up, and you realize that's not who they think they are. It's different. You have to meet people.
I agree. I totally agree. But there are mistakes that people make, and you identify those mistakes. And I thought you were just brilliant in terms of identifying it because I see it all the time. There are men, and you talk about the bathroom selfie. I think we have a picture of it. Yes. What not to do. I believe I took that from your Instagram. Don't worry, we covered the face. Marvin, that's you. What are you doing there? No.
Yeah, so I think that this is pretty obvious, right? If we step back and we look at this, it's like, why would this person show his nipples in a bathroom selfie? We can't even see his face.
Unless you're a model, like people are hiring you for that, don't do it.
But even
just don't do it.
Even the guy who has an 8-pack who does that, women don't respond favorably to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think this is sort of the point of why people come to me, because they want someone looking at it outside of themselves. So you and I could look at this and be like, no brainer. But people get stuck in it and they look at it and they don't understand why it's not appropriate or why it's not working for them.
What is it with the bathroom selfie? Is it just men that do that? I don't think women do that.
Women do it.
They do?
Not to the same severity as the men. The men are definitely more guilty. But it happens.
But
all
why?
Around. I don't know. There's nothing flattering about it.
Yeah.
I don't think it earns anyone a swipe right.
Yeah.
I wish people didn't. I've been telling people nonstop to stop it, to cut it out, but no one's listening. It still happens.
So you also talk about sunglasses, posing with multiple people. Yes. What do you find is the biggest mistake that both men and women make?
So what you just said is perfect. Sunglasses. You have 1 second for someone to see you and decide if you're getting a swipe right or a swipe left. No one is going to search for the other pictures to see what you look like. If they can't see you, you're going left. And you want to advance to the next round. Don't get yourself disqualified by having a hat and sunglasses on. The pictures with other people in it, that's fine with me, but censor them out so that the single shines. Otherwise, which one is this? Who am I swiping on? Who am I interested in? It gets really confusing.
Yeah, and I think people can judge then the wrong thing, like who you hang out with. It's just overstimulating.
It's overstimulating, and also if you have a guy in a pool with 18 other men, they don't know who they're swiping on. Yeah. And then instead of taking the 30 seconds to say, who am I interested in? They just lose the opportunity.
Now, as I also have a private practice, and I know that you're a therapist as well, and kind of have moved into this specialized field, but I will often recommend that people get professional headshots done. Not Always. So that they don't look like themselves, but I will say that across the board.
Always.
And I'm amazed at the dragging of the feet. But the one woman who listened to me, and there are many people who I've certainly helped in a different way than you have as far as moving in the right direction towards a relationship. She got a professional headshot. She said that she was a very handsome woman in person, but in photos it didn't come across. But she found someone to get that beautiful shot. She's been in a happy relationship ever since because guys really liked her.
I love that. Yes. It's a visual and it's shallow. And again, it's 1 second for someone to see you and to decide if they're going right or left. I will have people say to me, I don't know, I think candids look better. Well, a candid is fine as long as it's a great picture. However, most candids aren't great pictures, and you're better off having a studio picture or a professional picture that will get you that swipe right.
Agreed.
Than getting disqualified.
Agreed.
It's worth it.
I so agree. Now, what do you think it is in the profile? Because I hear this a lot from my patients who are looking for love, and they'll be like, this person's married. Or this person's just looking for sex. I'm sure you hear that.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Well, the nice thing about some of the apps is they're filters. So if someone's just looking for something casual, they're putting it out there that they're just looking for hookup or sex. Don't engage with that person if you're looking for something more. If you just want casual sex, then go for it. That's your category. To each their own. If someone wants to get a relationship, I advise to have the 3 different filters: marriage, relationship, don't know what I'm looking for. And I suggest picking don't know what I'm looking for because it keeps the options open. If you write you want marriage or relationship, you end up looking like an eager beaver.
Okay.
And if you sort of pick middle of the road, at least you get the other 2 as well. It includes more people.
Does that show in the profile? Don't know what I'm looking for?
Yes, most of the apps have a category where you can pick what you're selecting.
Now, you do something interesting. You identify the different kinds of apps and what's appropriate for each category. Now, you work with people from their 20s to their 70s. That's a big range.
I have people in their 80s approach me.
Yeah.
People approach me all over. It's just a matter of if I feel like I can help them. If a 90-year-old is coming to me and I don't have much of a market, I don't feel right.
Yeah.
But I will help in some way, of course. It's really just important that people have good pictures, they have a description, they are on the right app. And the right app is really the one that has the most people.
Okay.
And the most people who respond to them. Because if you stick yourself on a niche app and there's only 2 people, that's not creating that much opportunity. The chances of those 2 people being your one isn't all that high. So if you can tap into 500 people and go on 500 dates, there's a higher likelihood that you'll meet your person.
One of the problems that I see, and I'm sure you do as well, is dating burnout and dating ADD, which can happen. And you talk about how important it is to have the right set of expectations for these dating apps and have a healthy relationship with the dating apps. What is a healthy relationship with the dating app?
Well, first, you raised a good point. I just want to address this. Dating fatigue is real.
Yeah.
And I advise all my clients when dating fatigue sets in, to take a break.
Totally.
Shut it down. Turn it over to a friend. Don't engage, or just take 3 to 4 weeks off and then come back when you feel refreshed. But that negativity, it arrives on the date with you, and it comes through on the messages, and it just turns into missed opportunities. It doesn't serve anyone well when they're being a negative Nelly.
Do you think part of what helps you attract clients for the people who hire you is the fact that you are married, that you are in a relationship, so you come off differently?
I think I represent my clients as who they are. The difference is I see the client as they are, not how they see themselves. And my lens is different. So I'm not searching for them with all this baggage of past relationships and what this one guy did or what this one woman did. I'm looking, do I think this person has some potential? And in terms of expectations, which I know you asked about, it's really important for people to realize the dating apps are just a place for people to connect.
Right.
It's creating opportunities for people to meet. It's not saying, Bob and Amy, you two should be married. It's saying, hey, Bob and Amy, here's a place for you to connect. If you like, you can go plan to meet for coffee or a drink. But it's really opportunities, and it's up to the individuals to take it off the app and to meet. And if you don't meet people, you can't possibly connect in real life.
When I have patients say that they're texting back and forth too much, I just say, forget it. Like, if the person can't bring it into real life, goodbye.
Yes, so that is very sound advice, and I say it all the time. If you're going back and forth for more than 5 days and something is not even in the initial planning stages of getting it on the calendar, you're done. If you give a nudge and there's no response, it's over. They're married, they're bored at work, they're looking at this as a hobby.
Like, if they're married, hello. There used to be a site for that, and then it got exposed and then nixed.
Yeah.
And just of note, that CEO who created, I think it was called Ashley Madison for married people, which was a complete fantasy, because it's like the notion that if you're married, people can't get attached. That's just not the way it works. The CEO was bragging about how happily married he was, which I thought was particularly perverse. But anyway, I digress. You talk about ghosting is going to happen. You're not going to like everybody, and not everyone's going to like you, and just kind of prepare yourself for the journey.
Right. So ghosting is horrible, and I wish that people had manners and that they didn't ghost. Ghosting really makes me angry.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. People vanish, they go on a few dates, and then they disappear. It's really easy to say, hey, I thought you were great, but I don't think we're a fit. Or when someone asks you out on an app, guess what? I just met someone. We've gone on a 6th date. I'm going to go explore this and see where it's going, but I wish you the best of luck. That way the other person, because I'm on both sides of it. So if I am in and out of the apps and someone asks out a client and the client's like, I don't know, at least I'll go back and say, hey, I just started seeing someone, or I'm moving, or I'm swamped with work. I'll circle back. Something is better than crickets.
Why do you think it's going on?
Because people either get really busy.
Yeah.
And there's a great volume created by the app, so they forget to go back. Or they forget that they're people and someone has an emotion behind a screen. But people do have emotions, and they get hurt, and that's why people end up with dating fatigue and they get bitter, rightfully so.
And I think, too, it's important to read the behavior, because sometimes you can't always rely on the words. And so their behavior is telling a story, and it's really important to hold on to the word next when you're dating.
So my mantra with my clients is onward. The
Totally.
second someone does something, it's in cap, onward. We're not stuck on this. We're not perseverating. Onward. He said this. We didn't like it. You made a plan. He didn't show up. She did this. She went through your closet. She searched through your underwear drawer. These are obvious signs that we're going onward. Yes, when someone does something and shows you the behavior,
believe them. And also, if somebody tells you something about themselves, believe them, because they're most likely to tell you early on when they get away with it.
Yes.
And you have to learn how to hear it. Now, you do something special with your clients. You do an intense kind of intake interview so you can find out their voice and what's unusual about them.
Well, I do the intake form, yes, to find out their voice and things that make them unique and special. But the bigger part of my intake is, how do I create the profile? How do I nail the description? The description is what gives the other single information to talk about and advances the conversation forward. If you don't have something to talk about, it's stale, it's boring, and then it doesn't advance. So those details are how I decide if I should talk about someone doing the New York Times crossword, or they're a swimmer, or they're a hiker, or they bake a great biscotti, or they're trilingual. Whatever it is that makes them special. If they're psychic, I mean, any detail. They're a great juggler. Those are the things that go into the description, and that's what the two people end up talking about.
Now, I once read as well, if you have something unique about you, like if you have a big bottom, that it's attractive to say, I have a big bottom, and just own it. What do you think about that approach?
Well, if you obviously have a big bottom, I don't think you need to spell out that you have a big bottom. I think you just sort of show it, and it's been demonstrated.
Walk backwards into the date.
Whatever it is. But I'm sure there's a picture, so someone knows. I once saw on a profile, a guy wrote, I separate my orgasms from ejaculation. And I thought,
what does that even mean?
I don't know, but it was wildly inappropriate.
Yeah.
And it didn't need to go. He wrote it under unusual skill. And
oh, Lord.
I thought that's something someone could find out later if they make it that far.
Yeah.
But people have to put out there what is appropriate. And also, I don't know that you necessarily need to say, like, I have a big bottom. Like,
yeah, okay.
What's the benefit of that?
I'm not sure. I think the point was that they were saying, I'm confident in my imperfections. But
you can be confident and not draw attention to it.
I agree.
I mean, whatever they find beautiful about themselves, it'll shine regardless. And then you can't really talk about someone. What's a guy supposed to say, or a female? Hey, I see you have a big bottom.
Right.
It's not really a talking point.
It's totally not.
Right.
And I also wonder how you determine from what you see the good guy from the not dateable guy. And I know you use certain words for that. It was the creep list and the we don't date them list.
Well, the we don't date is really people who I think are not bad people, but they're just married.
Okay. Okay.
And there's a bunch of them, unfortunately.
They had their chance. They blew it.
Creep lists can get really creepy. But how do I know if someone is not a good person? Well, when they dive right in with a really inappropriate comment, they get sexual really quickly, intrusive questions, it's a red flag.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever find that you're surprised, like somebody presented as a good person and then turned out not to be?
Why, yes. It's funny you should ask that. There was once a Jewish doctor, super, super handsome, top 20 school, and he made a comment really quickly about going down on the client.
Oh, wow.
Within like one banter. And I was like, this is wildly inappropriate. Why would you say that?
Right.
And he said, I thought you were game. And I said, what about this interaction made you think that this is game? And I keep seeing him, but you know what? Now he's on my creep list, and I don't swipe right on him.
Right. So he's been noted.
He is disqualified.
And you're watching, just so people know.
Yeah.
And also, did you say something like if a picture looks like a mugshot, it's not a good idea?
A picture that looks like you're straight in prison.
Right.
It's not a good one.
Especially if you actually are in prison. Okay.
Yes.
We're just saying.
There have been a few that I thought that they were in prison.
They probably were. They probably were.
Yes.
They were probably my exes. Anyway.
If you smile and look at the camera, it's not a mugshot. But when you look like...
Right. Yeah.
It looks like a mugshot.
One of my dear friends from high school is ready to get back into the game of dating. I have a picture of her, Dee Dee. We know each other from high school. and she is, you know, in the midlife space. So that's a different set of issues too, and things to look out for. So Dee Dee's going to come on. Hi, Dee Dee.
How are you?
So happy to have you on the show. So you had a couple of questions that you wanted to ask.
Yes.
And, you know, ask away. And Meredith is the right person to ask.
So, Meredith, someone that's my age, what is the best way to put your profile up, and which apps do you think would be good for? I'm 54 years old, and just what advice would you give?
And you live here in the city.
I do live here in the city. I would be interested in meeting someone here in the city, but also outside in Connecticut, New Jersey,
Westchester,
Connecticut.
So the beauty of the apps, you have two things you can do. One, you get one of the apps that geolocates, such as a Bumble. Or you can do another app such as Hinge, where you can play around with the location. So let's say you go to Westchester, but you set it to New York City. Even when you're in Westchester, it's still showing that you're in New York City. Now, if you're about to go on vacation in Colorado in 2 weeks, you have the option of changing your location to Colorado and search for people in Colorado even while you're in New York. And so you can sort of plan ahead. So if you're open to meeting someone in another state or even within the tri-state area, apps that are good. I'm really a big believer of volume. I mean, you're on the cusp. I would keep you at a Coffee Meets Bagel, an OkCupid, a Hinge, a Bumble.
And are there ones that you prefer over others, or
I prefer the ones that people respond to you and go out with you. And so you start with an app and you do one at a time, and once you have a response, and then when you don't get a response anymore, which isn't just you, it's everyone. At some point you get to the zombie accounts and it's exhausted, and then you move on to the next app. But the right app is the one where people are responding to you. And the conversations are converting into meets.
So what are you looking for, Dee Dee? What kind of man are you looking for?
I mean, I was raised very traditionally, as you know, Robi. I think that I've always tried to find someone that I'm a smart girl. Intelligence is something that's really important to me. I like, just a well-rounded, fun person.
You're open to somebody who's divorced, who has kids?
Yes, I've always I have dated men that were divorced with children, widowed, ones that have never been married. It's really more the individual connection that you meet.
I have a question. Do you think it's important for Dee Dee to stay away from the men who have never been married at this point?
Not necessarily. I mean, sometimes it's a red flag, but I think you have to look at the other information as well. But what I wanted to say to you that I think is, and this is not just for you, but for a lot of singles, is sometimes we have a checklist, and you just got to chuck it. Because
check out the checklist.
You don't know who you're going to connect with. Someone can meet every single checkbox, but then you show up and you're like, or they can't give you the relationship
on paper, not
you want.
in person.
Just you got to meet as many people as possible, and it's really that person that you laugh with, who's going to show up and support you and be your friend, and you guys are aligned in how you want to move forward. And even if you're not 100% aligned, that you're willing to say like, oh, you're interested in this. That's not my cup of tea, but I support you, and vice versa. But you got to get rid of the checklist and just show up and see who makes you giggle.
Is that true, especially for women in midlife? Do you think that there's something for everyone?
For everyone. People come to me and they're like, he needs to be 6'2", has to work in finance, has to be best friends with everybody he ever grew up with. It just doesn't work like that.
No.
He has to be vegan. Okay. Well,
he will be imperfect, as are you.
Yes, we are all imperfect, and we all have to just check ourselves and get rid of it, because the person that you end up with, I don't know anyone who, when they're 16, makes their checklist and that's who they're married to. And even if they're with that person, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a good relationship. And relationships change, so it has to be the person who's willing to go through it with you.
Is there anything Dee Dee should put on her profile that you think would be really helpful for her?
Well, if you had to pick 3 things about yourself, not kind, fun, that sort of thing, but talking points. What are the 3 things that you really enjoy talking about? If you're at a dinner party or you're at the office.
I love talking about travel. I love talking about cuisine. I love talking about design.
Design. Tell me about what kind of design
I'm in
stuff.
the commercial interior design business.
Okay.
So, architecture as well as, cultural, it could be mid-century, it could be ancient, it's design, and it could be furniture, it could be art, it could be all of those things, film. But
Right, so for something like that, I'd break it down. Passion for architecture.
Yeah.
Passion for design.
Okay.
Passion for architecture and design. And just put it as a soundbite so
Okay.
someone can inquire about it. Travel is a little bit different because it sort of becomes...
Well, everyone loves to travel. So it's not...
You can put a bucket list vacation.
Yeah.
So if someone really loves to travel, you have one bucket list vacation and list it. And that way someone has like a true talking point with you.
Okay.
When are you going?
That makes
What are you
sense.
going to do when you get there? Oh, I've been there. Here are my tips.
Right.
Something to move it forward. But the travel in general is, I like to travel. That's like I like to wear jeans and a little black dress.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
No, so it's, and in many cases they'll ask, and it doesn't give it is a broad topic. So it's not the finer points that you're talking about.
And is there a sport or something that you're interested in? Do you meditate? Are you an avid reader?
I've just taken up skeet shooting, which is not your average.
But that's fun.
Yeah.
That's something you can put, right? Beginner skeet shooter.
Yeah.
That's a whole conversation with many different people. I'm sure you'll get bored of it after the 50th time, but it's a great opener for someone.
Dee Dee, do you feel like you have a sense of kind of new energy you can bring into the space?
Thank you so much.
So stay here while we just ask Meredith again some of the special things that you do that Spoon Meets Spoon does for their clients, because I know that there are several ways in which you work. You're also a dating expert, and just the range in terms of how much does it cost for someone to hire you?
So I really try and have packages that are for anyone. Everybody needs help. Be it you have a new profile, figure out where they're going wrong in their dating apps, how to convert a conversation, how to get people to respond to them, what's the best opener. So there's a package and there's help for everyone. It really just depends on what they need. Most people will approach me and say, I really want the whole shebang. Mm-hmm. And I'll say, do you have 30 minutes Monday through Thursday to swipe a message? And they say, I do. And I say, then you don't need the whole shebang.
Okay.
It's really about breaking it down and setting a schedule.
Well, I have to say, I would totally refer my patients to you.
Thank you.
If I were going into your space, I would be the person that emails people that were nasty to them, and then they'd be sorry that they were ever nasty. That's the service I would provide. But I'm not going into business for that. But you are a doll, and we're going to have a link so people can find you. Dee Dee, we should check back and do a follow-up show to just see how it goes. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to check out Balance 3H Plus. It's amazing, and they really offer a great service. Spoon Meets Spoon is also fantastic. We'll have links up. And thank you for joining us on Talking Live. We'll see you next week.